شهر فرنگ خوب تماشا کن، از همه رنگ خوب تماشا کن. رنگ و رنگ سبز و سرخ و بنفشایی رنگه، گاهی پر رنگ گاه کم رنگه، گاهی کم رنگ و گاه شب رنگه. خوب تماشا کن شهر ما رو سیاحت کن، قصه داری فراموش کن قصه ما رو گو.
What a good day. What a high-flying good day. So, what do you now know that you didn't know a few hours ago? Because we believe that in the beginning of this day that you knew that this is a vibrational universe, conceptually. And we believe that you knew that you are the creator of your own reality, conceptually. And we believe that you knew that contrast was providing the specific details of your desire, and that when we asked that opening question, do you know what you want, that question formulated in every one of you an image of something that you want. But these are the new things that have happened today, and this is the new resonance that you have found as a result of this conversation. It's easier than you had ever imagined. And there is a natural momentum that will take you to everything that you want. And that directing your thoughts and therefore encouraging momentum in one direction, which causes you to no longer encourage momentum in multiple directions, gives you a definiteness of purpose that will yield to you evidential results in a faster period of time. So what we're reaching for, what we really want you to hear as a result of everything that we've talked about here today, is that it is easier than you have been letting it be, and that there is a momentum that will carry you, that you can begin to direct with more determination. We want you to let your effort factor be only about choosing that high-flying disc, and then just for a little while watching what comes as a result of that. But the significant thing that we can feel that has happened within you here is that you are now accepting that your point of attraction is a pliable thing, and that the earlier in the day that you identify it and accomplish it, then the more evidence of having done that will show itself to you. It is our desire that you will, for the next 30 days, make a decision that your first question to yourself when you find yourself conscious in the morning is, am I on my high-flying disc? Am I on my high-flying disc? What thoughts could I think that would put me there? And then as you're moving through the day, if the next important question that comes to you is, I can feel myself slipping from my high-flying disc. I have 17 seconds to do something about it. Can I stop this slight momentum in this 17 seconds? And then see yourself do it. The next thing that we think you've gathered from this conversation is the understanding of laying new pipes. That you stand as the receiver of whatever is in the pipeline that you have carved out. And that every thought you think that feels uncomfortable when you think it is literally carving out a pathway to unwanted things. Unwanted when you get there, and unwanted on your way to getting there. So we think the combination of knowing that you have the ability to get on this high-flying disc, knowing that it's logical that you'll fall off for a while, but that you have 17 seconds to try not to, and that if you apply yourself a little bit, that you have a pretty good chance of staying on, of knowing that as you do 100% of your affirming when you are flying high, at the time that you're sitting around with friends and you're all laughing so much that you can hardly understand what the other one is saying because you're having so much fun, that's the time to make your affirmations to the universe of what you want. When your children are at their happiest, that's the time to affirm to them who you know them to be. When you are feeling at your best, that's the time to keep that momentum going by talking further, by adding more words to it. And any time other than that, be as quiet as you can be. Let no teaching moments ever come from anything less than your high-flying disc. Don't try to teach yourself from anything less than your high-flying disc, and don't try to teach anybody else from anything less than your high-flying disc. And then finally, the most significant of all of that, we want you to be easy with yourselves about it, and to say anytime you are aware that you have slipped and that you are not on your high-flying disc, oh good, I embrace this clarifying moment. I appreciate this clarifying moment. Because what you're going to discover is you can have this lovely dance mostly on the high-flying disc, but even on the high-flying disc there are going to be more things that you're asking for, because this is an inevitable fact of the eternal beingness that is you. You are never ever going to get it done, ever. There's never going to be a moment in time that new desires are not pulsing from you. And so there's never going to be a time that there is not a potential gap between what you're doing right now and who you've actually become. As you embrace that, as you accept that eternal nature, as it's all right for you when you're in a step one moment, and as you're appreciating the step two moment that Source is doing, as we have that wonderful wind at your back, as you acknowledge that step one and step two have already taken place, as someone said so brilliantly just now, without even your conscious awareness or notice of it in many cases. But you are putting your undivided attention upon step three, which is getting on that high-flying disc. People who are watching you are going to begin to come to you wanting to know what you have figured out. What is it that you are doing differently? And we would encourage you to keep it really general and really light with them. We would say things to them such as, I just decided to chill more. I've just decided to get a better night's sleep. I've just decided to get up in the morning and get off on a better foot. I've just decided to direct my thoughts toward more things that feel good. And I've discovered what a magnificent world this is. I love this world and all of the people in it. And I'm finding so many things in every day to praise and appreciate. And I think that's what's made the difference for me. And little by little, your paradigm shift will spread outward until others are experiencing their paradigm shift. But that will make no difference to your world, because you have already firmly planted yourself on the high-flying disc. So you're going to live happily ever after anyway, you see. But once you have firmly implanted yourself on that high-flying disc, and others are observing you, and you're wisely explaining what you are doing, simply stating it, more and more and more of this magnificent world will join all of us on that high-flying disc. And what could be fun, more fun than more having more fun? There isn't anything that's broken. And anyone that's not on the high-flying disc, even if it's you, nothing's gone wrong with that. It's all part of the clarifying process. So we don't want to leave you in this place of judgment or evaluation about you or anyone else and what disc they're on. But we do think it's nice to have a preference that you understand that you have some measure of control about. And we believe that in this moment you do. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, you may not remember very much of this. But after 2 or 3 days of doing the one simple thing of reaching for that high-flying disc, Your own personal life is going to demonstrate for you over and over and over again all of the components of what we talked about here today. It's going to be a really wonderful month coming up, and the month following that even better. Because once the manifestations start rolling in response to the new pipes that you have laid, then it becomes even more fun, because the manifestations reinforce what you know. The better it gets, the better it gets. So we leave you with one last encouragement. Don't flaunt any of this to anyone. Just be the happy person that you are, and let law of attraction rendezvous you with those who get that, who understand that. We promise you, you didn't come to figure this out so that you could take others who don't understand it to a place of understanding it. Just for a month, you understand it. Later on, when you're really stable, when there's no chance of wherever they are moving you from where you are, then you can have your teaching moments. One last thing. You're really going to like this. The only moment that is an effective teaching moment is when you are on the high-flying disc, and so is your student. We've enjoyed this interaction more than words can convey. There is great love here for you, and as always, we remain stubbornly, joyously, eternally, infinitely, deliberately in the vortex.
If you can linger without a name, without a face, without a gender, without your pain, without your disease, without all the relationships you have, without your past or your predictable future, it makes sense then that the longer you linger in the unknown, where all possibilities exist, by very theory, the more you would create new possibilities in your life. So then, just like in the quantum physics experiments, where they were observing the electron, and the electron went from a cloud of possibilities, the wave function, and it collapsed into a particle, all of a sudden, when they turned their back and no longer looked or observed the electron, it turned into possibility. It's possible then that when you disconnect from everything known in your life, and you're no longer observing your life from the same level of mind, that your life can turn into possibilities, just like the electron turns into possibilities. Now, getting to the present moment is the work. The moment you start noticing that your attention is going to memories of the past that are connected to certain emotions in your meditation, that's the habit of how you've been thinking up until this point. And you have to break that habit, which means that you have to return your attention back into the present moment and unfold as an awareness back into possibility. And every time you do that, that's a victory. When you start to notice that you want to get up and quit, and you settle it back down into the present moment and you unfold back into possibilities, that means then you're telling your body that it's no longer the mind, and you're executing a will that's greater than the program. And if you keep doing that over and over again, the body will begin to surrender into the present moment, just like training an animal. Once it finally can surrender into the present moment, if where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and all of your attention and energy is in the present moment, you have a lot of energy to do amazing things. So then all those possibilities that exist in the quantum field exist as electromagnetic possibilities. They exist as frequencies that you have to begin to connect to. So then, what are the ingredients that allow us to tune into those potentials that already exist in the quantum field? Well, it requires two things: a coherent brain, that is a clear intention, and an elevated, heartfelt emotion. That is what begins to open our hearts and creates coherence in our heart. So then if you are disintegrated in your brain, and that you have incoherence in your brain, and you haven't trained your heart to begin to become more orderly and produce a powerful magnetic signature, then you can't read information or broadcast frequencies into the field. In a sense then, you're on the wrong radio station, and the more coherent your brain is, the more coherent your heart is, the more you can tune into those potentials. Now let's demystify the process. So many people spend their entire life creating in lack. They see something that they want, like a new car or a new wardrobe, and they notice that they don't have it. And when they notice that they don't have it, they experience separation or lack. So what they start to do is they start thinking about having that car. They close their eyes, and in a period of time, they start seeing themselves actually driving the car. But when they open their eyes and they realize that the car hasn't manifested, they start experiencing more lack. So then they try harder to get it. And how do they try? They force, they wish, they control, because they're matter trying to change matter. Once you begin to open your heart, once energy makes it to this center right here, this is our connection to the unified field. This is the center we create from. This is the center of wholeness or oneness. This is where our divinity begins. This is the union of polarity, or the union of opposites. And once energy makes it to this center, all of a sudden, like dropping pebble after pebble after pebble into water, it begins to create a resonant magnetic field. And that field can be up to 3 meters wide. Now you're starting to open up and become more energy and less matter, more wave and less particle. And now once energy makes it here, that energy can carry information or a thought or intention, and you can begin to lay the thought on that energy, because that energy is consistent with your healing. That energy is consistent with your new dream. The energy is consistent with your new job or your new relationship. That energy can carry the thought of your dreams. The energy of suffering can't carry the thought of your wealth, because it's not consistent with that energy. So then when you begin to open your heart and you raise your energy and you begin to lay the thought on it, think of the thought as the electrical charge in the quantum field, and think of the feeling as the magnetic charge in the quantum field. And how you think and how you feel begins to broadcast new energy and new information into the field. And for whatever you broadcast into the field is your experiment with destiny. So then when you get really good at creating brain coherence and heart coherence, and you know how to elevate your emotional state, and you begin to feel the emotion of your future before it's made manifest, then you're no longer living in lack. You feel like your dream has already happened. So then when there's a vibrational match between your energy and a potential that already exists in the quantum field, now you no longer have to go anywhere to get your dreams. Now you are connected to that field of information that's connected to everything material. And when there's a vibrational match between your energy and that potential, now all of a sudden you'll begin to collapse time and space, and you'll begin to draw the experience to you. And now you no longer have to go anywhere to get it. You are the vortex to your creation. So think of it like this. The thought sends the signal out, and the feeling draws the event back to you. So if you're intending on having a future, and you're waiting for the experience to happen so you can feel the emotions of your wealth or of your freedom, of your new relationship, then you're sending the thought out, but you're not drawing the experience back to you. So here's a great example. The HeartMath Institute did a novel study where they took a group of people that were expert prayers, and they set 3 vials of DNA in front of them. And they said to them, now listen, with all of your intent, we want you to see in your mind the DNA winding or unwinding, and just keep visualizing it winding and unwinding. That's the concept of the mind. They did it over and over again, and they checked to see if the DNA was changed in any way. And at the end of the experiment, the DNA was never changed. Intention did nothing to affect the DNA. So then they said to them, okay, now open your heart, create heart coherence, and just generate that signal out into the field, and let's see if that energy begins to affect the DNA. At the end of the experiment, they checked the DNA, and there was no change in the DNA. But when they said to those people, now we want you to see the DNA unwinding, and we want you to open your heart and give thanks that it's actually unwound before it occurred. The moment they combine that clear intention with an elevated emotion, more than 20% of the DNA unwound at a remote location. The thought sends the signal out, the feeling draws the event back. Or better yet, as you begin to open your heart and broaden your field, that energy is the handmaiden, or it's the carrier of that thought, and now you can begin to affect the nature of reality. So a fundamental question is, what are you broadcasting on a daily basis? If you finish your meditation and you combine a clear intention with an elevated emotion, and your heart is open, and you feel connected to the energy of your future, it's your job to maintain that modified state of mind and body your entire day. And if you can, get ready. Something unusual is going to happen in your life. And it's going to come in a way that you least expect, that surprises you and leaves no doubt that it's come from your connection to the field. And you won't be able to predict when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen, because if you're looking to predict it, you're laying down a known over an unknown. You have to live in the realm of possibility, in a new state of being. And the moment you say, I got frustrated because of a coworker, I got angry because I was in traffic, and you disconnected from the energy of your future, now you're back to the energy of your past. And don't expect anything to change in your life. So then our job then is to be able to regulate the state with our eyes open as well as our eyes closed. And the side effect of this, when done properly, are those synchronicities, are those serendipities, are those coincidences that are beginning to come to us. And we no longer have to go and get it now. We are now a vibrational match with everything between now and who we are in our future. And now we are collapsing our future and bringing it towards us. Now that I've shown you how your mind can influence your outer environment, it's my hope that you'll use some of this to begin to collapse space and time into a new...
If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Please share and like.